Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Wednesday video this week. If it's going up a little bit later than normal, I do apologize. I have been a little distracted by the news today, as I'm sure many of you have. I can't imagine many of you are chomping at the bit waiting for Pastor Andy's new Wednesday video. There's a few other things going on in the world right now that are probably capturing your attention as they've captured mine. I'd like to take a couple of minutes here and just share my thoughts on what is going on here in terms of how a Christian might respond to the situation. And I by no means have a monopoly on a Christian response. I thought maybe sharing some perspective might be helpful for people trying to figure out how to process what they just saw today. So it is not the perspective, it is just a perspective, it is my perspective, and I hope someone out there finds it useful. You and me, we are followers of the way of Jesus. We look at the example that we have in the scriptures of who Jesus is and how he lived his life and how he treated other people and how he conducted his ministry. And based on all of these things, we are called to digest all of these things together and to come up with a way for us to be more like Christ in our lives. So obviously that there's many different interpretations about what it means to be like Christ, but we are called each and every day to follow the way of Jesus. In fact, the word Christian, if you break it down to its origin, means little Christ. We are called to be as close to the example of Christ as we can be. When we decided to go remote for church, I had written an email to people describing the decision as an act of sacrificial love for our communities and for our families and for those who Jesus called for us to serve. It is the people who might be rightfully counted as the least of these, those with pre-existing conditions, those with existing health problems, I guess, who are the most at risk here and have the most to lose by catching COVID. So we have decided to sacrifice on behalf of our neighbors and our families and our communities because we love them so much. And that's why we're remote now, and that's why you get a video from me every Wednesday. When I see the actions of armed rebels and armed, I don't want to use the word protesters because that's not what that was, armed rioters at the Capitol, I'm struck by how that is so not the way of Jesus, to say, I want things to go my way or else. Do what I want or you'll have to deal with my wrath. That might makes right mentality is not how Jesus operated. That's not how he ran his ministry. In fact, Peter gets the bright idea that he is going to swing and start something with the Romans. And Jesus says to him, put away your sword. It's not what we're here for. That's not what we do. If your faith, and I don't mean your religion, what religion you say you follow or what religion you think you follow, I mean your faith. If what you put your faith in is the government and politicians and the idea of America, if that is the source of your faith, I think that your faith will be shaken more often than it needs to be. There's this song, my hope is built on nothing less. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. If your hope is built on less, and I would argue that politicians and our government, and yes, even America itself is less than Jesus Christ himself. So if your faith is placed in politicians and systems and governments and even the concept of America, you are believing far too little. I invite you, if this has been something that you maybe have got caught up in, this election, this polarizing state of affairs in our country, if you have been kind of taken in by all of the excitement, and it's been exciting, I encourage you to remember that you are not first and foremost a Democrat or a Republican. You are not first and foremost even an American. As followers of Jesus, we are first and foremost followers of Jesus. And we are first and foremost citizens of the kingdom of heaven. A kingdom that is already and not yet simultaneously. And yes, we can be Democrats or Republicans and certainly Americans, but those designations, those identities should come second, third, or however far down the hierarchy you prefer. But first and foremost, we are followers of the way of Jesus. And he has promised never to leave us or forsake us. He's promised to be with us always. He has promised us life and life abundantly. And he is partnering with us daily to do his work and to build God's good world here and now. So, what we saw today on the TV, that those actions don't build God's good kingdom here in this world. They prop up or destroy, depending on your perception, a certain kind of politic. And that is such an old, outdated, and quite frankly, boring perspective on the world. I'm getting long-winded here. It's been 7 minutes, but we are called to be ministers of reconciliation, agents of the good work that God is doing in this world. So if things look a little frightening right now, it will pass. I encourage you not to pick sides in that debate, in that fight. I don't care what we're talking about politically. You can have your own opinions, certainly. I do. But they come at a far back seat to the work that God would have us do and the example of Christ himself that we are called to follow. My identity is in Christ. My citizenship is in the kingdom of heaven. My first and foremost aim is to be a heartfelt, sincere, and even self-sacrificial follower of Jesus. And I think that's a better identity and a better decision for ourselves. So it's been 8 minutes. I've been ranting. I can get long-winded. I should have written something. This is all off the top of my head, so that's why I can just talk forever, because you know how it is. Thank you so much for indulging me if you have. I appreciate so much if you got this far. Peace. Be well. Do not let your hearts be troubled tonight. I wish grace and peace for those you agree with and for those you don't. I love you all tremendously. I will see you online this Sunday for church. God bless.